Let's take a minute to look at why we created the National Construction Lending Alliance program. We originally started this program because we realized that there were a lot of contractors and borrowers, just like you, that were really good at finding great deals, but were finding it challenging finding enough money to fund the deals. Or they were looking to scale their business substantially and didn't have adequate capital resources. Because of our extensive background in the construction and rehabbing business, we decided to build a program in which the borrowers who are looking to fund more of their deals can team up and get their deals funded. And that's exactly how the NCLA program got its start. This program is backed by a $25 million California State Fund, as well as a $30 million National Real Estate Fund. Our contractors and borrowers love it. It's been a huge success. Now, we realize this model isn't for everyone, but the ones it works for, specifically investors and investor contractors that have more deals than money, or investors that really want to scale their business, it works really well. We've built strong, long-lasting working relationships with borrowers that have completely exploded their business. The real key is they realize the value in having basically a money partner type lender. By teaming up with the NCLA program, now they can spend all their time doing what they're really good at and have a passion for. And that is finding and completing super good deals. We are looking for only well-qualified, very experienced contractor borrowers, or borrowers that can show they have a very solid team to complete the projects. Let's take a look at how the National Construction Lending Alliance program works. First of all, our goal with this program is to fund as much of your project as possible. Sometimes this can include the purchase price, rehab price, interest reserves, points, and closing costs, as long as it meets certain criteria. 2 in particular. Number 1, we need to show that everyone has skin in the game. This can be done with cash, cross-collateral property, or even subordinate seller carryback. Generally, we will need to see approximately 10 to 15% of the total loan amount as skin in the game. Of course, a cash down payment is the most straightforward way to cover the 10 to 15% requirement. If you or a co-investor of yours can put that money in place, the rest of the process becomes easier. Cross-collateral property just means that you use another non-owner occupied property that has enough equity in it for additional collateral to make your project meet the loan-to-value ratio requirements. This may be a property that you own, or you may even have an associate that is willing to join you in your project that has qualified cross-collateral property. Subordinate seller carryback just means that the seller of the property is willing to take back a note and deed of trust or mortgage or a small portion of his equity at the time he sells his property to you. By doing this, it can generally allow the property to qualify because your loan-to-value ratio will be lower. And number 2, we need to be sure that the total loan-to-completed value ratio, or ARV, does not exceed generally 70% of the after repair or as completed value. Once we know that the numbers are solid, here's how the program works. We've set it up so that everyone gets compensated by the project for what they bring to the project. So here's our project that we need to get funded. Now, as a lender participant, we put money into the project. In exchange for that, we get interest, generally 12%, which is paid by the project. Now, if you, as the borrower participant, put cash into the project, you get the same rate of interest on that cash you put in as well. If you put work into the project, you get paid the standard going rate for that work that any other contractor would get paid. This too is paid by the project. Then, as the property is being completed, each of the contractors and anyone that works on the project gets paid for what they do. All of this gets paid from the project as well. So, we have framers, plumbers, electricians, landscapers, real estate agents, title company. Basically, anyone that has done work on the project gets paid by the project. Now, once everything gets paid, the remaining amount, the profits, go into a bucket, and from there, they're shared. By doing it this way, everyone gets compensated for what they bring to the project. With the National Construction Lending Alliance program, we are able to fund residential and commercial new construction, as well as non-owner occupied residential and commercial rehab properties. Again, the primary way we differ from other private money lenders and hard money lenders is that our goal with this program is to fund as much of your project as possible. Depending on the needs of the project or borrower, we also do gap funding. In many cases, we will work closely alongside standard hard money lenders to help them and their borrowers complete their project by filling the gap money requirements. This program is set up for short-term loans and generally run anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Occasionally, but rarely, depending on the project size and scope of work, we may extend past 12 months. Now that you know how the National Construction Lending Alliance program works, and you feel you and your project may qualify, take a few minutes to fill out the funding submission form on this page, or click the link below, which will take you to the Lending Alliance funding submission form. Please be sure to enter accurate and detailed information, because the more we know about your project, the more likely it is we will be able to help you. Here's an example of a project being funded through our National Construction Lending Alliance program. Let's take the 5 key items that are needed in order to do this basic exercise. Those 5 items are purchase price, construction costs or rehab costs, amount of cash in by borrower, number of months from purchase through to resale, and completed value or after repair value. In this example, let's use the $238,000 as the purchase price, $124,000 in construction costs, $10,000 cash in, a 6-month term from start to finish, and a completed value or after repair value of $499,000. Let's take the purchase price of $238,000 and the construction cost of $124,000 and add them up. That equals $362,000. And now let's subtract the amount of cash in at closing. This will give us a total of $352,000. Now let's add in the closing costs and the points, which will be paid by the project. In this case, let's estimate the closing costs at 3% and of points at 5 points for a total of 8%. By adding this 8%, we now have $380,160. The amount added for closing costs and points in this case is $28,160. Remember, this is paid by the project. This total of $380,160 is then divided by the completed value of $499,000, which gives us our projected loan to value before interest reserves, in this case, 76%. We know we need to be at or below 70% loan to completed value. That just means, in this case, we're 6% over in the loan amount. To determine the dollar amount, just multiply 6.2% of $499,000, which, when rounded, gives us approximately $31,000. So, in this case, an additional $31,000 cash or cross-collateral or a subordinate seller carryback could work. Now let's go back to our original calculation. We have $380,160 that we need to add 12% annualized interest to for a period of 6 months. So let's add 1% per month for 6 months, which equals 6%. We come up with a total of $402,969. Rounded up, that's $403,000. This will be our total loan amount, assuming either cross-collateral or subordinate seller carryback is used. The dollar amount would be less if additional cash is put in. Alright, so now let's say the project is completed and it sells. Here's how the numbers would shake out. First, we take the $403,000 loan amount and add back in the $10,000 cash put in by the borrower. This gives us a total of $413,000. Then we add back in the interest paid on $10,000 to the borrower, because remember, the borrower gets paid 12% interest on the cash he puts in too. The total amount of interest paid to the borrower in this case is $242. By adding these together, it gives us the total project cost of $413,242. Now let's take the sale price of $499,000 and subtract our estimated resale broker selling commission of 6%. This gives us an estimated net sale price of $469,060. Now let's subtract a total project cost of $413,242 for a total of $55,818. This is the total estimated net profit for the project, excluding interest already paid to the borrower and lender. This total profit of $55,818 is then split 50-50 for a total of $27,909 each, for an annualized return on investment to the borrower of 560%. And an annualized return of 25.8% for the lender. And remember, you as the borrower get paid full going rates by the project for any work completed on the project.